Okay, bear with me for this video because the first 10 minutes I'm very slow because my brain is unfreezing as I've just woken up. After 10 minutes, I really get rolling. Alrighty. Phew. I want to talk about my opinion of taking donations. Now, as you may have realised, I don't really take them. I have received a gift from Troy. All of those who say Troy never gives anyone gifts, well, I've got a modem from him when he left Australia, and then he sent me over a couple of solar things when he was back in New York. So surprisingly, Troy does give people stuff. Well, first of all, I'll talk about monetisation. Troy, when he was in Coffs Harbour, encouraged me to monetise my videos. And I did that, and then said, well, what else has got to be done? And he said, oh, you got to set up an AdSense account and then link it back to your YouTube account and blah, blah, blah. And I tried to get it in there. I tried to get it out of him. How much are you making? Well, he wouldn't answer, but he would tell me how much Doc was making at the time. And I won't go into that. But quite simply, I realised the amount of money I was going to make was probably going to be so small it wasn't going to be worth the hassle. And then you guys would just get pissed off watching all these ads, and then I could do all this bullshit and get, what, $3 or something, $5. You know, I just... it wasn't going to be worth it. It was just going to piss you guys off. So after spending hours turning the monetisation on, I went and turned it all back off again. And, you know, I had to go through, what, like 600-700 videos or something like that. So, yeah, that took a while. But I got no trouble with people monetising their videos. I mean, you know, that's the way it's set up. Those of you who don't upload won't know that there's another thing they've got going. Oh God, I think this is just going to be a bloody face plant of an idea. This is just going to hit the dirt, I reckon. What they've got is they're going to make it so that you can pay to watch YouTube ad-free. Now, as Tony Mullins said, YouTube is essentially really shitty TV. People pay for good TV. It's called cable. People don't pay for free-to-air TV, so why the hell are they going to pay for really shitty TV, so to speak, on YouTube? I think it's just going to fail immensely, but that's one of the things they are going to do. Anyways, let's talk about receiving gifts. Now, a lot of people do this through a post office box. Troy didn't, and now everybody knows his address. And they can go and check out his place on Google Images and see if they believe if he's really, really deep in the forest or whatnot. And you know, you see a lot of different things, including where he tested out his bang whatever rod and reel. Whatever the hell the name of it was. You can see that little thing, you can see where the RV sort of is. I think that might actually be hidden. You see the solar panels, you can see the veggie garden, but anyway, everybody now knows what address to harass him by via ringing up the local government, and they got to address to report whatever crap they want to report. And yeah, turns out that's not such a good idea with everybody knowing your address, which is why a lot of people have post office boxes. And don't get on the table, Black Kitty. No, stuff you. Anyway, buddy, off we come. Have a look at the camera. Anyway, yeah, I mean, plenty of people do take gifts and all that, and it sort of makes me laugh. I know somebody else that also takes gifts and doesn't like Troy taking gifts, and they had a video up where they received some wind turbine parts and some dog treats, and then, you know, a few hours later, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours later, Troy put up a video, and in that he received a whole wind turbine and some cat treats for baby cat. And it was sort of funny because there in the comments ranting away that he shouldn't be getting this stuff and it's all wrong, and yet if you went back to that guy's channel, his very last video was him getting similar stuff. It is interesting to note, if you've seen enough things that Troy's got over the time, he sort of gets given the same thing. I don't know how many flaming drills he's got. I don't know how many carbon monoxide detectors he's got. But there's a few, believe me. Right back from the days of being in the camper, he was given a 12-volt one. And it seems that he's given much the same thing many times over. I don't know how many flaming video cameras he's got either, but the numbers must be coming up now. But I will say that with video cameras and all that, unless you have the video conversion software, and sometimes even when you do, some cameras will give you much the same quality picture and the file will be bloody 10 times the size, which is why I tend to go for phones, because they seem to have a smaller camera size, file size rather, and they're smaller cameras as well. And yeah, with my other bigger camera, I've got to convert that to get it to a size that, you know, wouldn't just about choke a dinosaur, because even though I have it set at 640 by 480, it still comes through astronomically large size. But anyway, I personally don't see why I can't organise my own arse and get the stuff I need, and in my cases I have, and I sort of question how many other people need to do the same thing. You know, like, I think in many ways, if you're showing people how to have a nice free life that is then dependent on gifts to get along and whatnot, that doesn't quite make sense. But anyway, we'll move on to receiving money. Now, I know you're all on the jump about Nomadic Fanatic, who's recently stopped taking money. We'll see if that lasts. I'll tell you about somebody else though. Truth never told. Chris Duane. The dude is a millionaire. And you go on to his about section of his channel, and I'm pretty certain that that's where it is, but I have seen it somewhere on his channel. PayPal, please donate blah 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 to help Truth Never Told. And I sit there looking going, dude, you're a millionaire. Why the hell would anybody, go for you? He's given up on YouTube. Oh, I put up a video and all I get is 17 comments. Well, that may mean that everybody is not disagreeing with you. That's why they don't comment. It may be like, I know there's a number of people watching me who watch and, just couldn't be bothered to comment and whatnot. And look, if you've dealt with a circus of notifications that I'm still dealing with, I get notifications on videos that I put comments on a couple of months ago. I no sooner finish going through my notifications and the next day I've got 35 more to answer back to. And it's like, does this crap ever end? That is why some people don't comment as much as they used to. Other people just couldn't be bothered. And a lot of people just like to watch, not sort of necessarily throw their two bob in. And there's other people who have to throw their two bob in. And I sometimes tend to be one of those people. But, due to the circus worth of notifications I've got to go through, I'm tending not to comment anywhere near as much. But, he's a millionaire. He's talked about Mulligan mints. He had some silver and wanted to, I think it was like 100-ounce bars, and wanted them to melt it down. He handed over to them. I mean, all the links have been broken with Mulligan mint now, and the dude was pretty shonky, it turns out. But he handed over $250,000 worth of silver that he wanted them to remint. Why the hell the guy needs anyone to donate to help his channel along, I don't know. Really speaking, this guy advertises his bullion on his channel. This is last days of this, or limited number of 5-ounce rounds, or whatever. Or this is a new coin I'm bringing out, and blah blah blah, and even mentions that people get on the jump when there's the 2015 Silver Eagle comes out, which looks no different from the 2014 one, except the number, and then he puts out a big jump about his stuff coming out with 2015 written on it. Alrighty. But that's I think that's ridiculous as a millionaire asking for money. You look at Nomadic Fanatic, I'll get back to him. He's, is out there in an RV, and it sounds like from one of Tony Mullen's commenters that it's not uncommon for van dwellers and RV dwellers to not have two shits worth of knowledge about, the vehicle they're driving, about mechanical knowledge to fix it up. They've got to go to a mechanic every time. I would suggest if you're going to travel around the country in an RV that you at least know a few basic bloody things like what I know, And so you got a hope of fixing your own vehicle on the road. And so many times, according to Tony's commenter, that if the vehicle breaks down, then, oh, look, it's up to the subscribers to donate to keep me going again, to fix the van up or whatever. Let's look at the guy's life. What's he do? Well, he goes from one city to another city, and then why the hell, for his staph infection, he wants to go to Kansas City to have a nice place to be holed up in? Fuck me. Some of the things I've seen about Kansas City, shit, you might as well go to Detroit. You know, I think you'd be better holed up in any city aside from that if you even want to come back to a friggin' RV that hasn't been nicked or has the bloody wheels taken off it or God knows what. But really speaking, you look at his life. He drives where he wants, when he wants. He goes on tours of beer factories. He, go to a national park one day, or a beach if he wants to, or this attraction or that attraction, or another beer factory or whatever. And, you know, it doesn't really matter if he gets there or doesn't get there, or does it today, or doesn't do it, or does it tomorrow, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter at all, because life is a holiday. Don't you think it's a little bit steep to have some people out there working away, walking through the mud and slosh all day long, slogging it out? Please donate money to me so my life can continue to be a holiday. And you're saying that to someone who's working away there, you know. If somebody's working away, working their guts out, why the bloody hell should they donate to you so your life can continue to be a holiday? So you can continue to live in a world where it doesn't matter if you do it today or do it tomorrow or don't even do it at all. It doesn't matter if you just spend the whole day in bed. Because life's a holiday, and someone working or a retiree or, you know, someone who done the hard yards in business in earlier days and now has things a bit nicer or whatever, you know, can donate and keep you going. I must admit, when Troy asked for donations so he could build the tiny home, I just thought, oh, come on. Now you're asking someone to effectively donate a house to you. It doesn't matter that you're going to make it yourself. But anyway, many people didn't, and he worked it out eventually, and here he is now in it. I was surprised for the slow start that he got it all done, but he got it done. Good on to him. Good on John for helping him out there. I don't think it would have been done without John, to be honest. But yeah, I sort of also see some people who believe that they have some standing whereby you should donate to them. You know, unless you save the world, I don't see why. You know, in the United States, it's a little bit different than here. This whole thing of thank you for your service, I never heard that. Not even once in Australia. I never even heard of it at all until a few months back on YouTube. You know, over here, it's not a big deal. If you've been, or if you are, a military veteran, people don't get in a big hop of, you know, you protected the country for me, therefore I should thank you, you know, therefore this guy deserves to be given a donation. Hang on a minute. There's a lot of perks in the military, and some of those perks continue on. And, well, isn't that what you paid for while you were in the military to begin with? You know, that's your job. You protect the country, or at least you're saying you do. And then you paid a wage for it, or a salary for it, as I believe it is in the military. Look, I know somebody who has been in the Australian military. I believe they have recently got out. They have been to both Afghanistan and Iraq while in the military to do stuff for the military. They didn't spend a great deal of time in Afghanistan. They spent a bit of time there, but they spent a fair heap of time in Iraq. You know, not years or anything like that, but they spent enough time. I don't think anyone spends years in Iraq, actually, but they spent enough time in Iraq, and they were doing something there that had to be done, and they done their job there. And even though they have been in 2 different war zones, they think nothing of it. In fact, they were talking about the troops that were under them on a base here in Australia, and they didn't want to do a particular thing. And this person said to me, look, you got to understand that these guys sit around on a base and do nothing all day pretty much. And that's how they describe the troops under them. I don't see how you really protected the country doing a tour of Texas. If you've never been in a real war zone, you know, while you were in the military, how were you protecting the country? Unless you're in Texas protecting the Mexican border, that might be a little bit different. But that would be more like slowing up the illegal immigration. I don't know if you class that as protecting the country. You may. But I really don't see a point of, you know, this guy that's been in Afghanistan and Iraq, he doesn't want a pat in the back. He doesn't expect a pat in the back. He's not looking for donations. He's not even looking to be thanked. He doesn't expect anybody to say thank you for your service. So I don't know under what circumstances that, you know, a tour of Texas or not going into a proper war zone while you're in the military warrants anyone really asking for a handout. You know, really, seriously. Because it doesn't here in Australia. And so it doesn't fly with me. Just as a lot of people asking for donations in general doesn't fly with me. But anyway, I'll leave you with an old saying. A fool and his money are soon parted. And that's my blurb on how I feel about people taking donations.